Hi, we are back for our third video of our gnome building, and by now you should have a hat and you should have a beard attached. You'll notice that I went ahead and attached a couple more things. I have a nose now and I have ears. And you can make your nose and ears look like whatever you want. You could have big pointy ears if you wanted to. Your nose could be kind of more of a big hook nose. This is just literally a ball that I attached to his face. And then I just molded these into ears like this. They are not complicated. I do not want you stressing out about making this look super realistic. We're going to add details at the very end if you want to add more texture or things like that, but you don't need to worry about that right now. Okay, so the two next things that I'm going to add are going to be, I'm going to add some arms and some legs. Now, I ran out of my dark clay, so I'm going to be using this clay, which will look kind of funny, but you do not need a lot of clay for this. I'm going to use about this much for each of the arms and the legs. I might even use less than this. But what I'm going to do is kind of roll out a sausage looking shape for his arms. See that? And make sure they're about the same width. You don't want to have really different looking arms. You want them to be about the same. Okay. Now I can make these look more like hands later if I want to. Now remember that we have to attach them using our slip and score method. If you don't do that and you just stick it on, as soon as it is fired in the kiln, it will absolutely pop right off, and you don't want that to happen. I'm going to weld it on and do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you add just a little bit of water. Some people have been adding enormous amounts of water. Your gnome is going to kind of melt if you do that. Please don't add too much. Okay, that's generally looks pretty good. Like I said, we can add details later. You can add something that looks more like a hand. Okay, look at that. Look how cute this is looking. All right. My next thing I'm going to attach is going to be the legs. Now we're going, because he's like this, and this is kind of like where his waist is, we're going to add two kind of boots right here, and they're going to kind of be coming out just a little bit. We're not going to add legs that he is standing on. That will be too hard. So what I'm going to do is get about this much clay. See, I'm not using a lot of clay again. And I'm just going to make kind of like something that looks like a loaf of bread, basically. A loaf of bread, 2 loaves of bread. And in a second, I can mold it into something that looks more like a boot. But for right now, it's just going to look like a loaf of bread. And that's okay, because we're just doing basics right now. We're not doing super details. All right, so I've got 2 loaves of bread, and I'm just gonna kind of look and see where I feel like this is gonna come out the very best. I want it to kind of be down here. I don't want it to stick out from his stomach, because that's gonna look really weird. I want it to be kind of right here. But you also have to remember that it's gonna stand up like this. So we're gonna kind of smooth it down in a second. Okay, so let me make this like this so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna score right here. And then I'm just gonna score on top of his shoes right here. So they're like that. All right, let's get some water, put some water right there, and attach both of these little shoes. Okay, I think I smushed that a little too much. Just kind of keep reworking it. You might even want like, oh, all of a sudden I want pointy shoes, like he's a little elfish. Yeah, that is going to be cute. Like he is from Holland or something. He has those pointy clogs. Okay, I need to make sure that these are welded on. So underneath right here, I'm going to just do this. See how it's just kind of welding everything down. Yeah, that was the move. Okay, and just make sure it sits up right. Mine is sitting up really nice now. Awesome. This is your basic gnome. I almost said elf. This is your basic gnome now. Okay, there are some details that I need to work on. Do I want to have any kind of a detail for the hat? For me, I don't. I'm just going to paint this red, and that's how I want that to be. The only thing you don't want to do is you don't really want to paint details on, because you can't really mix up the colors. You don't want to say, oh, I'm going to paint a belt right there or something. You have to kind of do it with clay. So you're going to decide right now, what are all the extra things that I'm going to do that are going to be a detail for his costume and for maybe for his features. You might want to carve in some eyes with this. You might want to go back and see all my little ridges for my beard have kind of mushed back in. So I'm going to kind of go over that again and make that a little bit better. Where else do you want some details? Maybe see, like I'm going to add a couple of details for the ear right here. I could even carve out some nostrils right here. I could add, make it look more like hands by doing something like this. So those are the things that you're going to want to think about and you're going to want to add. But let me caution you in making this too complicated. You do not want your gnome to be complicated. You want it to look really good and really simple. So go ahead and look at it. Look at your sketch in your sketchbook if you need to, and see the things, the details that you need to add. And then when you are finished, we want to finish by next time so we can get this in the kiln. We'll put these in the kiln and fire them, and then we will work on glazing. The last thing I want you to do at the very end is I want you to take one of these sticks and I want you to poke a hole. Do you see how I have a hole? This hole goes up into the next pinch pot up here. If I don't do that, all of the air will be trapped inside his head and it will blow up in the kiln. So you want somewhere for the air to go, okay? And that's the way, is we're gonna just stick that up there and it has a hole, so the air, we'll fire them laying down so the air has a place to go and it won't blow up. Okay, go ahead and get to work.